Before you begin, make sure you follow these essential guidelines, use the latest edition, always download the most current edition of Form I-129F from the official USCIS website. USCIS will reject outdated versions of the form. Sign and date the form. The petitioner must sign the form in ink. USCIS does not accept stamped or typed signatures. Complete all questions accurately. Provide full and accurate responses. If a question does not apply, enter "not applicable" instead of leaving it blank. Use additional space if needed. If you need more room to answer any question, use Part 8, additional information, and reference the page number, part number, and item number that correspond to your answer. Step-by-step instructions for filling out Form I-129F. For USCIS use only. Leave this section blank. Part 1, Information about you, U.S. citizen petitioner. This section collects details about the U.S. citizen filing the petition. Question 1. Alien registration number, A number, if any. If you have an alien registration number, A number, enter it here. Most applicants do not have an A number unless they have previously filed an immigrant petition, applied for adjustment of status, or been in removal proceedings. If you have an employment authorization document, EAD, with a number starting with 1, do not enter that number here. It is not an A number. Question 2. USCIS online account number, if any. If you have a USCIS online account number from a previously filed petition or application, enter it here. This number appears at the top of USCIS notices. If you do not have a USCIS online account number, leave this field blank. Question 3. U.S. Social Security number, if any. Enter your Social Security number, SSN, if you have one. Question 4. Select the classification for your beneficiary. Box for A. Fiancé. EK-1 visa. Choose this if you are petitioning for EK-1 visa for your fiancé. E. Box for B. Spouse. K-3 visa. Choose this if you are applying for EK-3 visa for your spouse. Question 5. If filing for a spouse, KL3 visa, have you filed Form I-130? If you selected spouse, KL3 visa, indicate whether you have already filed Form I-130, petition for alien relative, for your spouse. Important, you must file Form I-130 before submitting Form I-129F for EK-3 visa. If you have not filed Form I-130, you cannot submit Form I-129F. Your personal details. Question 6.A, 6.C, full legal name. Enter your full legal name exactly as it appears on your birth certificate, passport, or legal name change document. Question 7.A, 7.C, other names used. List any aliases, maiden names, or nicknames you have used in the past. Questions 8.A, 8.I, mailing address. Enter your U.S. mailing address. This is where USCIS will send all notices and official documents, including receipt notices, requests for evidence, RFEs, approval notices. Question 8.J. Is your mailing address the same as your physical address? Answer yes if your mailing and physical address are the same. Answer no if they're different, and provide your physical address in questions 9.A, 9.H. Your address and employment history. Questions 9.A, 12.B, address history, last 5 years. List all addresses where you have lived in the past 5 years, both inside and outside the U.S. Provide your current address first. Ensure accuracy. Any inconsistencies could delay your petition. If you need extra space, use Part 8, additional information. Questions 13, 20.B, employment history, last 5 years. List all jobs you have had in the past 5 years, both in the US and abroad. Provide employer names, employer addresses, job positions, dates of employment. Start with your current job first. Use Part 8 if you need extra space. Additional personal information. Question 21, gender. Select male or female. Question 22, date of birth, millimeter DDYYYY. Enter your date of birth in millimeter DDYYYY format. Question 23, marital status. Select 1, single, never married, married, divorced, widowed. Questions 24 to 26, birth information. City, town or village of birth enter as shown on your birth certificate. Province or state of birth enter not applicable if not applicable. Country of birth enter your country of birth. Part 2. Information about your parents. Parent 1. Father's information. Questions 27.a, 27.c. Enter father's full name. Question 28. Enter father's date of birth, millimeter DDYYYY. Question 29. Select male. Question 30. Enter father's country of birth. Questions 31.a, 31.b. Enter father's current city and country of residence. If deceased, enter a deceased. Parent 2, mother's information. Questions 32.a, 32.c. Enter mother's full name. Question 33. Enter mother's date of birth, millimeter DDYYYY. Question 34. Select female. Question 35. Enter mother's country of birth. Questions 36.a, 36.b. Enter mother's current city and country of residence. If deceased, enter a deceased. Part 3. Marital history. Question 37. Have you ever been previously married? Answer yes if you have been married before. Answer no if you have never been married. Questions 38.a, 38.c. Name of previous spouses. If you were previously married, list full names of your former spouses. Question 39. Date marriage ended, millimeter DDYYYY. Enter the date your marriage legally ended. Electric light bulb important, you and your fiancé, you must be legally free to marry when filing Form I-129F. If a previous marriage is not legally terminated before submitting the petition, USCIS will deny the petition. Your citizenship information. You are a U.S. citizen through, select only one box 40.a, birth in the United States, select this box if you were born in the U.S. box 40.b, the naturalization, select this box if you obtained U.S. citizenship through naturalization. Box 40.c, U.S. citizen parents, select this box if you obtained U.S. citizenship through birth abroad to a U.S. citizen parents or through automatic acquisition of U.S. citizenship through a U.S. citizen parents. Certificate of naturalization or certificate of citizenship. Have you obtained a certificate of naturalization or a certificate of citizenship in your own name? Only petitioners who obtained U.S. citizenship through naturalization or parents have a certificate of naturalization or a certificate of citizenship issued in their own names. U.S. citizens born in the U.S. are never issued these certificates. The following information is listed on your certificate of citizenship or certificate of naturalization, if applicable. Question 42.a, certificate number. Enter the certificate number if you were issued a certificate of citizenship or certificate of naturalization. Question 42.b, place of issuance. Enter the place of issuance if you were issued a certificate of citizenship or certificate of naturalization. Question 42.c, the date of issuance, millimeter DDYYYY. Enter the date of issuance if you were issued a certificate of citizenship or certificate of naturalization. Additional information. Question 43. Have you ever filed Form I-129F for any other beneficiary? Answer yes if you have previously filed Form I-129F for another person. Answer no if you have never filed Form I-129F before, and skip questions 44 to 47. Question 44. A number, if any, if you have previously filed Form I-129F, enter the beneficiary's A number, if available. Questions 45.a, 45.c. Enter the beneficiary's full name if you have previously filed Form I-129F. Question 46. Date of filing, millimeter DDYYYY. Enter the date the previous Form I-129F was filed. This date can be found on the Form I-129F receipt or approval notice in the Received Date field. Question 47. What action did USCIS take on Form I-129F? Enter approved, denied, revoked, withdrawn, or pending based on the last action taken by USCIS. Important notes: if you have filed for more than one previous fiancé, use Part 8, additional information, to provide details for each beneficiary. If you have filed 2 or more I-129F petitions for a fiancé, at any time in the past or had a prior I-129F petition approved within the last 2 years, USCIS may not approve a new I-129F petition unless a discretionary waiver is granted under INA Section 214, 2b and c. Children under 18 years of age. Question 48. Do you have any children under 18 years of age? Answer yes, if you have children under 18. Answer no if you have no children under 18 and skip questions 49.a, 49.b. Question 49.a, 49.b. Age. Provide the age of each child under 18. Use Part 8, additional information, if you need more space. Residency information. Provide all U.S. states and foreign countries where you have resided since your 18th birthday. Residence 1, questions 50.a, 50.b. If the location is a U.S. state, enter it in question 50.a. If the location is a foreign country, leave question 50.a blank and enter the country in question 50.b. Use Part 8, additional information, if you need more space. Part 2. Information about your beneficiary. This section collects details about the foreign fiancé, the beneficiary. Questions 1.a, 1.c. Beneficiary's full name. Enter the beneficiary's full legal name, last name, first name, middle name. Question 2. A number, if any. Enter the beneficiary's alien registration number, A number, if available. Question 3. U.S. Social Security number, if any. Enter the beneficiary's SSN, if issued. If the SSN states are valid for work only with DHS authorization, still list it here. If the beneficiary was never issued an SSN, enter none. Question 4. Date of birth. Enter the beneficiary's birth date in mm/DDYYYY format. Question 5. Gender. Select male or female. Question 6. Marital status. Choose the appropriate box: single, married, divorced, or widowed. Question 7. City, town or village of birth. Provide the beneficiary's place of birth as listed on their birth certificate. Question 8. Country of birth. Enter the beneficiary's country of birth. Question 9. Country of citizenship or nationality. List all countries of citizenship or nationality. Questions 10.a, 10.c. Other names used. Provide any aliases, maiden names, or nicknames used by the beneficiary. Questions 11.a, 11.i. Beneficiary's mailing address. Enter the current mailing address. Beneficiary's address history. Questions 12.a, 15.b. List all addresses where the beneficiary has lived in the last 5 years, beginning with the current address. Use Part 8, additional information, if more space is needed. Beneficiary's employment history. Question 16, 23.b. Enter the beneficiary's employment history for the last 5 years. Include employer names, addresses, job titles, and dates of employment in mm/DDYYYY format. If unemployed, enter unemployed. Use Part 8, additional information, if more space is needed. Beneficiary's parents' information. Parent 1, father. Questions 24.a, 24.c. Enter the father's full name. Question 25. Date of birth, mm/DDYYYY. Enter the father's birth date. Question 26. Gender, select male. Question 27. Country of birth, enter the father's birth country. Questions 28.a, 28.b. Enter the father's current city and country of residence. If deceased, enter a deceased. Parent 2, mother. Questions 29.a, 29.c. Enter the mother's full name. Question 30. Date of birth, mm/DDYYYY. Enter the mother's birth date. Question 31. Gender, select female. Question 32. Country of birth, enter the mother's birth country. Questions 33.a, 33.b. Enter the mother's current city and country of residence. If deceased, enter a deceased. Other information about your beneficiary. Question 34. Has your beneficiary ever been previously married? Answer yes, if applicable. Name of previous spouse. Questions 35.a, 35.c. If the beneficiary was previously married, enter their former spouse's full name. Question 36. Date marriage ended, YYYY, provide the exact date each of the beneficiary's previous marriages ended. If the beneficiary has had more than one previous marriage, include details for each ex-spouse in Part 8, additional information. Note, to qualify for a K-1 visa, both the U.S. citizen and fiancé, it must be legally free to marry at the time Form I-129F is filed. If any previous marriage has not been fully legally terminated before submitting the petition, the I-129F petition will be denied. Previous U.S. entry information. Question 37. Has the beneficiary ever been in the United States? Select yes if they have previously entered the U.S. Select no if they have never been in the U.S. If the beneficiary is not currently in the U.S. when Form I-129F is filed, enter not applicable for question 38.a and proceed to question 39. If the beneficiary is currently in the U.S., note, Form I-129F is submitted to USCIS to apply for a K-1 non-immigrant visa through a U.S. embassy or consulate abroad. If the beneficiary is already in the U.S., they may consider filing for adjustment of status, Form I-485, instead. If the beneficiary is physically present in the U.S. at the time of filing Form I-129F, provide the following details regarding their most recent U.S. entry. Question 38.a. Enter how the beneficiary last entered the U.S., e.g., visitor, student, exchange alien, crewman, stowaway, temporary worker, or without inspection. This is their class of admission and can be found on their I-94 record. Question 38.b. Enter their I-94 arrival departure record number. Question 38.c. Enter the most recent date of arrival in the U.S. as recorded on the I-94 record. Question 38.d. Enter the date their authorized stay expires, admit until date on I-94 I-95. Question 38.e. Provide the passport number used for their last U.S. entry. Question 38.f. If applicable, enter the travel document number used for entry, e.g., advance parole, refugee travel document. If not applicable, write then question 38.g. Enter the country that issued the passport or travel document. Question 38.h. Provide the passport travel document expiration date. Beneficiary's children. Question 39. Does the beneficiary have children? Select yes if they have children. Select no if they do not. Questions 40.a, 40.c. If applicable, enter the full name of each child. Question 41. Enter the child's country of birth. Question 42. Provide the child's date of birth, DDYYYY format. Question 43. Indicate if the child resides with the beneficiary, answer yes or no. Questions 44.a, 44.h. If the child does not live with the beneficiary, provide their physical address. If the beneficiary has multiple children, list them in Part 8, additional information. U.S. address where the beneficiary intends to live. Questions 45.a, 45.e. Provide the intended U.S. address of the beneficiary after arrival. Question 46. Enter the beneficiary's U.S. phone number. Beneficiary's physical address abroad. Questions 47.a, 47.f. Provide the beneficiary's current foreign address. Question 48. Enter the beneficiary's foreign phone number. Beneficiary's name and address in native alphabet. If the beneficiary's native language does not use Roman letters, provide their full name and physical address in their native alphabet in questions 49.a, 50.f. Relationship to the U.S. citizen. Question 51. Is the U.S. citizen and their fiancé, related? Answer yes, if they are related. Answer no, if they're not. Question 52. If related, specify the nature and degree of the relationship, e.g., third cousin, maternal uncle. If not applicable, enter not applicable. Note, U.S. states have varying laws on marriage between relatives. If the state where the couple intends to reside prohibits their marriage, they are ineligible to file Form I-129F. In-person meeting requirement. Question 53. Have the U.S. citizen and their fiancé, met in person within the last 2 years? Answer yes, if they have. Answer no, if they have not. Note, meeting in person within the 2 years before filing is a requirement for Form I-129F. Exceptions, if meeting in person violates strict, long-standing cultural or social practices, and all traditional marital arrangements have been met or will be met. If meeting in person would cause extreme hardship to the U.S. citizen petitioner. Acceptable evidence includes medical records, statements from religious leaders, proof of immediate danger. Question 54, if yes to question 53, provide detailed circumstances of the couple's in-person meeting. If extra space is needed, use Part 8, additional information. You must submit evidence showing that the couple met in person within the last 2 years. International Marriage Broker, IMB, information. Question 55, did the U.S. citizen meet their fiancé, through an international marriage broker, IMB? Answer yes, if they met via an IMB. Answer no, if they did not. Definition, an international marriage broker, IMB, is a business or organization that charges a fee to introduce individuals from different countries for marriage or dating. These brokers typically operate online and arrange communication or meetings. If you answered no, skip to question 62.a. If yes, provide the following IMB details. Question 56. IMB's name. Questions 57.a, 57.b. IMB representative's last and first name, if applicable. Question 58. IMB's organization name. Question 59. IMB's website. Question 60.a, 60.f. IMB's physical address. Question 61. IMB's daytime phone number. Consular processing information. Your beneficiary must apply for a visa at a U.S. embassy or consulate in question 62.a city or town. Enter the name of the city where the U.S. embassy or consulate is located, where the beneficiary will apply for their K-1 visa. A list of U.S. embassies and consulates is available here. Question 62.b, country. Enter the name of the country where the U.S. embassy or consulate handling the K-1 visa application is located. Important, if the foreign country has multiple U.S. embassies or consulates, note that not all of them issue K-1 visas. Check the U.S. embassy or consulate websites to confirm which locations process K-1 visas. Part 3, Other information. This section collects the U.S. citizen petitioner's criminal history details. Criminal information. Under the International Marriage Broker Regulation Act (IMBRA), the U.S. citizen petitioner must disclose any criminal and marital history, including instances of domestic violence. Important, these questions must be answered even if the U.S. citizen's records have been sealed, expunged, or if they were informed that no criminal record exists. Question 1. Have you ever been subject to a temporary or permanent protection or restraining order, civil or criminal? If yes, indicate whether the U.S. citizen has ever been subject to a protection order or restraining order, whether civil or criminal. Question 2. Have you ever been arrested or convicted for any of the following crimes? Question 2.a. Domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, child neglect, dating violence, elder abuse, stalking, or an attempt to commit any of these crimes. Domestic violence refers to any felony or misdemeanor violent crime committed by a current or former spouse of the victim. A person who shares a child with the victim. Someone who has lived or is living with the victim. A person considered similar to a spouse under relevant domestic or family violence laws. Anyone against whom the victim has protection under domestic family violence laws. Question 2.b. Homicide, murder, manslaughter, rape, abusive sexual contact, sexual exploitation, incest, torture, trafficking, peonage, holding hostage, involuntary servitude, slave trade, kidnapping, abduction, unlawful criminal restraint, false imprisonment, or any attempt to commit these crimes. Answer yes or no. Question 2.c. Have you had 3 or more arrests or convictions, not from a single act, related to controlled substances or alcohol? Answer yes or no. Note, if the U.S. citizen has ever been arrested or convicted of any of these offenses, they must submit certified copies of all court and police records detailing the charges and case outcomes, even if the records were sealed, expunged, or otherwise cleared. Disclosure of criminal history to beneficiary. If Form I-129F is approved, USCIS will provide a copy of the petition, including the U.S. citizen's disclosed criminal history, to the U.S. Department of State, which will then share this information with the beneficiary. If the U.S. citizen was arrested or convicted of any of the above offenses while being a victim of domestic abuse or extreme cruelty, they must indicate which of the following apply. 3.A. I was acting in self-defense. 3.B. I violated a protection order issued for my own safety. 3.C. I committed, was arrested for, or pled guilty to a crime that did not result in serious bodily harm and was connected to my experience of being battered or subjected to extreme cruelty. Additional criminal history questions. Question 4.A. Have you ever been arrested, cited, charged, indicted, convicted, fined, or imprisoned for violating any law or ordinance in any country, excluding minor traffic violations unless they involved alcohol, drugs, or a fine of $500 or more? If yes, provide details for all offenses not already disclosed elsewhere in the form. Question 4.B. If yes to question 4.A, explain circumstances surrounding each incident. Locations where they occurred. Dates of each incident. Outcome of each case, including court decisions. The U.S. citizen must submit one of the following documents for each listed incident: certified copies of the arrest record and/or final case disposition. A certified statement from the court confirming that no record exists for the incident. If additional space is needed, complete Part 8, additional information. Multiple filer waiver request information. U.S. citizen must request a waiver of the International Marriage Broker Regulation Act, IMBRA, filing limitations if the U.S. citizen previously filed Form I-129F on behalf of 2 or more fiancé, EES, or the U.S. citizen has previously had a Form I-129F approved, and less than 2 years have passed since the filing date of the previously approved petition. If one of these filing limitations apply, then USCIS cannot approve Form I-129F unless the U.S. citizen obtains a waiver of the multiple filing limitation. Select the box that indicates the type of waiver that the U.S. citizen is requesting, if any. Box 5.A, multiple filer, no permanent restraining orders or convictions for a specified offense, a general waiver, if the U.S. citizen has never been convicted of a violent criminal offense, provide documentation showing why a waiver is appropriate in their case. Examples of acceptable documents include signed and dated letter from the U.S. citizen outlining the details of the previously filed petitions, death certificate, police reports, news articles, or medical reports. Box 5.B, multiple filer, prior permanent restraining orders or criminal conviction for specified offense, extraordinary circumstances waiver. If the U.S. citizen has ever been convicted of a violent criminal offense, the petitioner must submit evidence to demonstrate that extraordinary circumstances exist to obtain a waiver. Examples of acceptable documents include signed and dated letter from the U.S. citizen, police reports, court records, news articles, trial transcripts, proof of the petitioner's rehabilitation, social and proof of good moral character. Box 5.C, multiple filer, prior permanent restraining order or criminal convictions for specified offense resulting from domestic violence, mandatory waiver. If the petitioner committed violent criminal offenses but were battered or subjected to extreme cruelty, a waiver must be obtained. The U.S. citizen must prove that they were acting in self-defense, or they committed, were arrested for, were convicted of, or pleaded guilty to committing a crime that did not result in serious bodily injury and there was a connection between the crime committed and the petitioner having been battered or subjected to extreme cruelty. Examples of acceptable documents include police reports, court records, news articles, trial transcripts, evidence the petitioner acted in self-defense, evidence the petitioner was a victim of abuse or battery, evidence the petitioner violated a protection order intended for their protection, and any other credible evidence. Box 5.D. Not applicable. beneficiary is my spouse or I am not a multiple filer, select this box if you are applying for a K-3 visa, spouse of US citizen, or the multiple Form I-129F filing limitations do not apply to you. Part 4. Biographic information. This section gathers the US citizen's biographic information. Question 1. Ethnicity. Select only one box, indicate whether the US citizen is Hispanic or Latino, or not Hispanic or Latino. A petitioner is considered Hispanic or Latino if they are a person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central American, or other Spanish culture or origin, regardless of race. Question 2. Race. Select all applicable boxes. Check all applicable boxes to indicate whether the US citizen is white, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa, Asian, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippine Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. Black or African American, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa, American Indian or Alaska Native, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment, or Native. Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or other Pacific Islands. Question 3. Height. Enter the US citizen's current height in feet and inches. Question 4. Weight. Enter the US citizen's current weight in pounds. Question 5. Eye color. Select only one box. Select the box that most closely matches the US citizen's eye color. Question 6. Hair color. Select only one box. Select the box that most closely matches the US citizen's hair color or if the petitioner is bald. Part 5. Petitioner statement, contact information, declaration, certification, and signature. Question 1.a. If the US citizen can comfortably read and understand the application in English, then check the box in question 1.a. You should carefully review the entire application for accuracy prior to signing. Question 1.b. If you are not proficient enough in reading English, then a competent interpreter needs to read through the application with you for accuracy review prior to signing. The interpreter need not be a professional interpreter but should be someone that is able to properly interpret the application. In such a case, the box in question 1.b should be checked and the language used to interpret the application to the applicant should be entered, for example, Spanish, French, etc. Question 2. The box for question 2 should be checked if anyone has prepared the application at the US citizen's request. If a preparer was used to prepare the application, Part 7 must be completed too. Petitioner's contact information. Questions 3, 4, and 5. Enter US citizen's daytime telephone number, cell phone number, if any, and email address, if any. Petitioner's declaration and certification. Question 6.a. Petitioner signature. US citizen signs the form here. It must be an ink signature. USCIS does not accept stamped or typed signatures. Question 6.b. Enter the date in millimeter DDYYYY format. Part 6. Interpreter's contact information, certification, and signature. If an interpreter was used to read you the application in your native language, then Part 6 must be completed with the information about the interpreter. The interpreter must sign and date to certify that they are fluent in English and the language the applicant used. They have completely read the application to the applicant in that language, the applicant confirmed to understand the contents of the application, and the applicant verified the accuracy of the application. Part 6 is completed by entering the full legal name of the interpreter's mailing address, daytime phone number, cell phone number, if any, email address, if any, and the language used to interpret the application to the applicant. The interpreter must then sign and date the application where indicated at questions 7.a and 7.b. Part 7. Preparer's statement. Part 7 is completed by entering the preparer's full name, organization name, if applicable, mailing address, daytime telephone number, fax number, if any, and email address, if any. The box at question 7.b should be checked if an attorney has prepared the application. The preparer must sign and date the application where indicated as questions 8.A and 8.B, attesting to certifications about the preparation and accuracy of the application. Part 8. Additional information. This section can be used if there is not enough space in any other parts of the form to provide all requested information. Note, even if no information is provided in Part 8, this page should still be included with the application when submitted to USCIS. If you need additional space, make copies of this page to use to provide all requested information. If you are using Part 8 to provide additional information, enter applicant's name, alien registration number, A number, if any. Indicate the page number, part number, and item number to which the answer refers. Where to send Form I-129F application. Signed and dated Form I-129F, payment of the filing fee and the supporting documents must be mailed to the appropriate address. See where to file. Form I-129F processing time. The processing time for Form I-129F, Petition for Alien Fiancé, can vary depending on the caseload at the service center handling the petition, the complexity of the case, and any issues or requests for additional evidence that may arise during the review. California Service Center, 16 months. Nebraska Service Center, 5 months. Potomac Service Center, 19 months. Texas Service Center, 12.5 months. Vermont Service Center, 7.5 months. You cannot choose the USCIS Service Center that will review your Form I-129F. The processing times are estimates, and actual processing times may vary. To check the current processing times for Form I-129F, you can visit the USCIS website's Processing Times page, choose Form I-129F and the specific service center that is processing your application. You can find the USCIS Service Center in the lower left corner of your I-129F receipt notice.